Oh, yeah, like Ric Flair's the greatest of all time to me. Yeah. He's the greatest of all. And it's not even close.
Nah. Ric Flair?
Ric Flair's the greatest of all time. He's the greatest wrestler.
I'm a big Ric Flair fan, too. I don't know if he's great, but I'm a big Ric Flair fan.
I mean, like, he was so popular that, like, rappers are still putting him on their albums right now.
Ric Flair. Yeah, he was the first one like that was just like, he popularized the bling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was like, man. He making a fur coat look.
Right. With feathers.
Yeah.
With a rollie.
Yeah, that's when, Ric Flair, Macho Man, Lex Luger.
Yeah.
Hulk, that's when they were all big. And then, like I said, the Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart came in. And then after that is when Stone Cold came in.
Yeah, like Stone Cold was.
And then
like
after Stone Cold was when The Rock came in.
Yeah.
And after The Rock was John Cena.
Yeah. Stone Cold shut the game down.
Yeah. Like I was done with wrestling once John Cena came around.
Yeah, after I figured out wrestling was fake. That took a while too. I did not want to believe that.
He's like, what, this is rigged?
I did not want to believe that.
So you telling me Shane did see it?
Oh man. I don't know what it took. I don't know like I know what it took moment, for me. But it was
when what's his name? Triple H.
Oh yeah.
When he was beefing with McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, and I was still believing it was real. And then I found out later that he married McMahon's wife. Daughter.
Daughter.
Yeah. So I was like, how y'all family and y'all beat like, no, that can't
Stephanie.
be possible. That's when I was like, okay, something's amiss in this.
Yeah, nah, wrestling.
That
was my formative year.
What if we could plan it out? Cabo for a week, Paris for a day, ooh-wee-wee. You can come and be my babe, you can see what a gentleman I am. Yeah. What if we could plan it out? Party in the streets, like the golden days at the beach. Family buzzing in my air like a beat. Maybe you could chill. All this stuff I have up in my head.
Welcome to First and 15, the only podcast that's trying to get you paid. I'm here with two-time FFPC champion AB. Alongside him is my guy, Dio the Machine. Guys, we ended up doing a guest spot for Player Profiler with Jack Kavanaugh on Monday, and it got me to thinking about the 49ers a bit. You guys were talking about how the 49er quarterbacks are going really late, although Christian McCaffrey is going in the first round. Kittle is going, maybe fourth, fifth round? We got Deebo going in the third round. So it looks like guys are spending heavy draft capital for these 49er receivers, but the quarterbacks are going really late. Do you guys think that whoever is going to be the 49ers quarterback can actually have that many targets or can sustain like that many receivers to where no one is a bust?
Man, so shout out to Jack, really sharp dude. It was a pleasure being on the podcast. Definitely check that out if you get a chance. Shout out to Player Profiler. Shout out First and 15 and all the First and 15 subscribers and listeners out there.
Yes, sir.
When it comes to 49ers, I just felt like showing some love. I just felt like showing some love. Felt like it flowed. I don't know. Y'all let me know. I brought it up because, so each format's obviously different. Best ball versus redraft, tournament field versus home. But I think, regardless of the format, what we are typically seeing is when we look at the 49ers skill position players, we are seeing CMC go in the first round. At times within the first 3 picks, or at least the top half of the draft.
First 5 picks.
So he goes really early, and I think we can all agree that he's a receiving back. Yeah. So he's going to see targets, right? Mm-hmm. And if we look at FFPC ADP currently, we see Deebo Samuel's going in the 4th round, ADP, maybe early to mid 4th. FFPC again, tight end premium. So we see Kittle go earlier in the 4th round, but just in general, regardless of the format, typically Kittle is like the 4th, maybe 5th wide receiver off the board, but typically, tight end off the board, but usually the 4th. He usually goes after T.J. Hawkinson. Mm-hmm. So right there, we already have 3 players going in the first 4 rounds, who are receiving threats and who are going to see significant targets. Then we add in Brandon Ayuk, who currently in FFPC is going in the 6th round.
Getting a lot of buzz right now, too.
Getting a whole lot of buzz. I mean, you're seeing tweets that basically is saying he's the best route runner in the NFL. You know, not to get into that discussion, but you are literally seeing tweets that are stating that. Even his own teammate Deebo is hyping him up. So a lot of people are kind of pegging him for a breakout year and really, you know, looking at him as like the best wide receiver on that team. So we have 4 receiving threats that are going in the top 6 round. Mm-hmm. Look at the board. Look at any board, any format. What team has that many receiving options going off the board that early? Okay? And I get the issue with the quarterback situation, at least early on, where there was a lot of kind of confusion, and there still is as far as, you know, ambiguity as far as who's going to be there day one. But all reports thus far are Brock Purdy. The organization, the beat writers, the coaches, like pretty much everybody's basically kind of backing Brock Purdy, and he's been there, and he's actually shown it before. Yeah. Limited sample size, but he's shown it. Yet this man is really not getting touched in FFPC. I know a lot of people are kind of, banging the drum as like a late round dart throw in underdog and other best ball formats is like a sneaky play. And, basically kind of saying what I'm saying, that it doesn't make a lot of sense that he should be going that late. But I'm not even arguing whether or not Brock Purdy or Lance or Darnold, whoever you feel like is going to be the quarterback, should be going that late. I'm not going to even argue that fact because, yes, that doesn't make sense. To me, the issue is that even if Brock Purdy were being drafted around a Geno Smith or a Tua type or even a Dak type, it still does not make sense to me that 4 of those receiving options are going that high. Yeah. So to me, to answer your question, somebody is not going to hit. Or I see this really as a situation where, and this is what we've seen with Shanahan offenses anyway, that 1 week it's maybe Deebo and Christian. 1 week it may be Christian and Ayuk. Another week it may be Deebo and Ayuk. So it's going to be really hard for, I think, anyone to see any significant consistency. Maybe best ball format. Again, it's kind of cop-out answer, but best ball format is the best because maybe the end-of-year numbers, Ayuk looks like a wide receiver, a high-end wide receiver 3. Maybe he, with just, injury attrition, or maybe he kind of makes that next step and ends up as a wide receiver 2. But it's going to be hard-pressed for him, me to see him as a high-end wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1, and then Deebo as a wide receiver 1, and then Kittle as a top 3, top 4 tight end, and then Christian McCaffrey producing as an elite running back. I just don't see all those things playing out. So for me, I am really approaching this situation as like, outside of Christian McCaffrey, who I think because he's a running back can provide, some more stability at that position and more sustained value. The spike weeks for me, at least in a redraft format, is not that enticing. Total points are nice, but I still think even with total points, it's going to be hard pressed. So maybe you have a stand on a certain guy. I honestly don't know like how you can have, stand on the Deebo hill or stand on the Ayuk hill or stand on the Kittle hill, when Shanahan himself has shown us in the past that he'll switch it up week to week based on the matchup. Yeah. So, you just got to me, you got to like hope for an injury. And when I'm drafting a guy in that, that high, I don't want to have to hope on an injury for him to hit or exceed value. There are too many other players going around where some of these guys are going that I would just rather have. Yeah. I would just rather have so many other guys. Like, I love Ayuk. I think he's an up-and-coming player. I love Deebo as a player. But there are a lot of other guys that I think have upside or who can provide consistency or who can break out, who are going there and don't have as many other players that they have to compete with. So
Dio, who do you see as the odd man out, assuming that whoever the quarterback is can't sustain for fantasy relevant?
I think the odd man out is probably going to be Deebo. Right. And really before I even get into that, right? I think just listening to what Abby was saying, he's right. I don't really think it's possible for all 4 to hit, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, or at the same time, I think when you're drafting these guys, you have to draft them with basically saying, I'm going to take a stand on this one player. Yeah, I know all 4 of them are going in the top 6, and I'm going to assume that all 4 are not going to hit. But one of them's going to hit, right? Because we've seen with 49ers that offense, they can produce very valuable fantasy products, right? Maybe it's due to other guys being injured. Maybe it's the offense at the time that they ran. Maybe it's different quarterbacks, whatever. But we've seen Deebo have high fantasy output. We've seen C-Mike have high fantasy output. Kittle have high fantasy output. Ayuk right now is getting the buzz, so it's almost like we're just trying to kind of get ahead of the curve with Ayuk. So I don't think it's impossible for all of them to hit. And honestly, if you really look at that team, their target distribution is so narrow, right? Mm-hmm. It really is only 4 players.
But that's still a lot. That's asking.
Oh yeah, it's a lot.
From a team that really does like to run.
Yeah, they like to run, but that wide receiver 3, I don't think is much of anything. Maybe Juwan Jennings or something, but he's not anything consistent. They really don't rotate guys in the game much, right? You don't see them rotating a lot of different receivers, a lot of different tight ends, a lot of different running backs. Maybe they'll bring in Elijah Mitchell to give C-Mac a breather here and there. Mm-hmm. But it's not really a thing where, it's just a random player. One of those NFL.com, they always say, or they always have those segments where it's like, that didn't help anybody, where somebody scores a touchdown. Yeah. Literally nobody would have had that person on their team. Right. I don't think that's the case with the Niners. Like when they score, it's always going to be one of those main pieces. But going back to the original question, the reason why I'm a little concerned with Deebo was I was kind of looking at last year compared to the year before. Mm-hmm. The year before, 2021, was the Deebo breakout season. Everybody was hyped out. The reason his ADP is actually where it's at now. And last year was kind of a disappointment, right?
Mm-hmm. And injuries too, though.
Right, injuries. So I looked at all that. So with the injuries, he did miss 3 games last year, right? The year before, 2021, he actually played all 16 games. That's when we were still with a 17-game schedule, 16 game play. So he actually played 16 games. So, okay, yeah, injuries was a little bit of a concern, but really, if you really look at the numbers a little closer, it was more like the usage. Like they still ran him. Mm-hmm. He still had a fair amount of attempts. So it's not like he wasn't running as much, but he had I think a little bit less than 200 less yards rushing. He had 6 touchdowns rushing in 2021, only 2 last year. So the efficiency was down. Yeah, we knew that was going to happen. The efficiency was down. But then the worst part, and that's the running. The running is not even the biggest concern for me. I looked at the receiving game. Yeah. Major discrepancy in the receiving yard average per I guess target or whatever. Yeah. He went from 18 yards per catch in 2021 to 11.
Ooh, this man brought out stats.
Yeah. Like look at that drop off, and the target the targets weren't that vastly different. He was still averaging a little over 7 targets a game in both years. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't a target issue. He scored much less touchdowns. Again, I want to even say it was like 8 and 3 or something like that. Yardage was, a fair amount different, but it's just those touchdowns and the yards per catch, that was a vast difference. But then I was like, okay, we have these 2 seasons, vastly different outlooks or outcomes. Let's go back even further. So now I look, 2020, 2019. Those 2 years mimic closer to what he did last year than what he did in 2021. So the question is, did he revert back to the mean? Like, did he have that negative regression last year? Or was last year a one-off?
Yeah,
I would probably say it's more of the former.
Yeah, and I think a guy that we haven't even mentioned yet is Elijah Mitchell. So again, just kind of going back to the idea that Shanahan likes to kind of he likes to control the game on the ground. They still have a very elite O-line. We'll see what their defense looks like. A lot of changes on that end, but that defense really isn't, or that conference, the division that they're in isn't really a scary one.
Right.
They got the Rams, they got the Cardinals, okay, and then maybe Seattle. So ideally, they really should be coming out of that division. So I really just see this as a team that will just continue to pound the rock, play action pass, and pick their times and points.
So do you think C-Mac is the one that's going to take a little bit of a hit?
So
if you had to choose one?
So I haven't drafted C-Mac at all. Okay.
Right.
I have not drafted C-Mac at all. We were on him last year as the number 1 overall. This year, I really don't.
So you're a little scared about C-Mac as far as his outlook this season?
I think C-Mac is going to be great. I just don't think we see that just truly elite season.
Okay.
So I don't think it's going to hurt you that you draft him in the first. But really, when I'm drafting guys that early, I am looking for someone who's just going to have that truly elite season. I definitely think that they want to use Elijah Mitchell if he's healthy. Mm-hmm. And we're hearing a lot of buzz out of the sophomore in camp. What's his name?
Jordan Mason.
Yeah, Jordan Mason.
Did he jump over Davis Price?
Possibly.
That's crazy.
And so the only
third round pick.
the only importance of that is that if they feel more comfortable with him, now we're not necessarily so reliant on Elijah Mitchell being healthy, which he hasn't proven to be.
Right.
If they feel like they have a competent number 2, I just don't see this team with Super Bowl aspirations wanting to run Christian McCaffrey in the ground. There's just no need. You have a backup running back, and you have Deebo, and you have a number of different options. So, and then, the kicker to this is that as much as we're talking about these quarterbacks and how they could be potential value, I'm not targeting them, but they could be potential, especially in like best ball format. They're not elite. They're not great. So why on earth would you move away for something that's been so successful as far as running the ball, and you have Christian McCaffrey and you have Elijah Mitchell? Why would you move away from that and put your hopes and dreams of a Super Bowl aspiration in Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant? It makes no sense. So I just don't get these guys going in the top 6. Like, unless you just gotta you just like really on Ayuk is having a breakout this year.
Well, going back to what I was saying as far as the reception yards took a big dip, I was trying to figure out why that happened, right? And I think Brock Purdy taking the reins last year might have had a little bit to do with that.
Hurting him or helping him?
Hurting him.
Okay.
I don't think Brock Purdy, and this is just off the top of my head, I don't recall Brock Purdy really throwing the ball deep think last year.
No, he didn't
I think it was more timing type passes, just get the ball in your playmakers' hands and let them do the work.
But Garoppolo doesn't have that strong an arm either.
Right. But I think that might be what's part of the reason it hurt his yards per reception. And if Brock Purdy is going to be the guy, and with all information we have, we can go ahead and assume Purdy's going to be the guy as long as he's healthy. I think that will kind of continue.
Yeah.
Right? Going back to C-Mac, though, when you pick C-Mac now in the first round, especially now that he's getting older, I think it's more of a floor play now compared to in the past it's been a ceiling play. I think it's just a pick where you're like, I'm comfortable knowing he's going to get a fair amount of usage. Yeah. He's going to probably be efficient with his touches. He's going to keep me in the running every week. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I don't know if you're picking C-Mac thinking he's going to give you those, 2021 Jonathan Taylor type seasons.
Yeah. Look, the winning team can definitely, like, in whatever tournament, best ball, redraft, home leagues, could absolutely be rostering C-Mac. I'm not saying C-Mac in any way is a bad pick. I think for me, it's a couple of different things. Everything that you mentioned about the age, what we've mentioned about just all the talent on that team. There's no need to, feed him the way that they did in Carolina. But really, it also comes down to just the landscape. We keep going back to it. Whether you believe in some of these guys or not, we are just seeing so many running backs in the 5th, 6th round. So why would I just want to pass on some of these elite wide receivers? Yeah. It's hard to find those guys. I feel like there's more question marks on whether or not, a 5th or 6th round wide receiver can truly produce versus, some of the running backs that are going to 5th and 6th round. So I like just building my teams, variation on the wide receivers in the 1st and 2nd round, and then variations on the running backs in the 5th and 6th round. Mm-hmm. And just, not necessarily, flag pant on Miles Sanders or Cam Akers or Rashad White, but just say, this draft I'll grab, I'll grab 2 of these guys, or just I'll grab one of him, I'll grab one of him.
Somebody's going to hit.
And one of these guys is going to hit. Yeah.
Real quick, for the Dynasty people, there is another running back on the 49ers that you just kind of keep an eye on. Name is, I think, LeBourne. Kayshawn LeBourne or something like that. I think I'm killing his first name. But he's a guy that's had a little bit of buzz. I want to say he was undrafted too. But with the 49ers, anytime they have any running back that shows a little bit of promise, you just have to kind of keep them on your radar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because they can be very, very fruitful in a pinch.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, so let's stay on running backs for a second. I want to talk about Josh Jacobs. Listen, league-leading 1,600 yards rushing, 12 touchdowns last year, career high in receiving yards. Can you guys see Josh Jacobs coming back being the league-leading running back, but can you see him overtaking Eckler even with Derek Carr now being on the Saints?
So we have to look at why did Josh Jacobs just show out last year like he did, right? Because I don't want to say it came out of nowhere, but nobody expected anything close to that whatsoever.
Nobody saw it.
His first season in the league was actually his best season prior to that. And every season since then, it's just kind of been, okay, less than 1,000 yards, And then going into the season, remember with them drafting Jahmyr White in the third, everybody was kind of seeing it as, oh no, Josh Jacobs might be on his last legs out the door soon. Keep in mind, they didn't pick up his fifth-year option. So it's almost like they were telling you we don't really have a future with this guy.
Right.
New coaching staff.
And they played him in the preseason game. That was
The Hall of Fame game. They played in the Hall of Fame game. And I remember when I saw it, I was like,
got me. I ain't gonna lie.
I was like, they must be showcasing him for other teams to trade him because there's no reason whatsoever for them to be playing this guy in the Hall of Fame game. So we all just kind of dismissed it as, okay, Josh Jacobs, we know you're young, you got talent, but it's irrelevant. You're on borrowed time, right? But if you really look back on it, it might have been something that just put this huge chip on this guy's shoulder.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Where he was just like, you know what? This is what y'all think about me? Okay. Watch this.
Yeah.
Don't believe me, just watch.
Yeah.
And he went out there and just did his thing. He almost doubled his rushing output. It was, like you said, 1,600 last year. The year before it was like 800 to 900 yards. The touchdowns was crazy last year. But his usage, right?
That's what it comes down to, the usage.
The usage, he had 200-something attempts in 2021, 340-something last year.
Crazy.
Like, that's insane. And then you ask yourself, why did he have that usage? And my first thought is like, maybe the team, again, was just thinking, okay, we weren't going to keep him for the long term. Let's just run him in the ground. We have no long-term future with him. It doesn't matter, right?
And he showed out.
You know? Or maybe they were like, he's just so efficient. Because I remember even in the middle of last season just thinking to myself, how is Jacobs producing so well all season long? I mean, he was putting the team on his back at times. In the passing game as well. So I don't know. It's one of those chicken and the egg type things. So can he reproduce it? If they're going to give him that type of usage, I think the answer is yes. Will he repeat it the same exact way? I don't know, because he might not have that chip. Especially with all this being said, we have to be concerned now about a potential holdout. They're saying he might not be in training camp and he might go into the season.
And man, he's been outspoken when it comes to running backs and contracts and there was a report that I think came out either today or yesterday with regards to him literally maybe not showing up week one and actually being a true holdout. So,
and it's not going to be a penalty because he's still a free agent. He's technically a free agent right now.
He never signed his contract.
So there's no penalty for that.
Obviously what's going against him is the current running back market. But, I mean, if he doesn't sign and you're looking at the current free agent running backs, I think he is number one on the list for probably most teams, including over Dalvin Cook, I would say.
Wait.
I would say that.
Are you basically saying there's a chance he doesn't go back to the Raiders? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think that's a very minimal chance. But I'm just saying if he doesn't, I think his leverage.
Is that what you took out of that statement?
No. I think
because the Raiders would have to rescind the franchise tag.
What I'm saying is he's saying that, hey, Josh Jacobs might be a higher target than Dalvin Cook, who's
the only way he'll be a target is if the Raiders rescind his rights.
Right. But
that's the only way. That's what I'm saying.
If he doesn't show up,
for that to be possible, the Raiders have to basically say, you know what, that franchise tag, go and get that back.
And that may be possible.
That would be crazy.
We'll see what happens. I mean, that franchise
and the reason why it'd be crazy because who was the contingency plan, right? Unless they go sign somebody else.
There's so many running backs on the roster right now.
Who?
And this So number one, does this organization feel like they can compete? They probably do. I know their head coach.
You think they might be taken for Caleb?
No, I don't. Well, that I don't know. Those are only discussions that happen behind closed doors. But if that were the case, I doubt that they would be wanting to keep Devontae unless they want to keep Devontae for Caleb. I mean, I don't know. Those are things that are hard to answer at this point in time. But I think that is still within the realm of possibility. I'm just speaking from the mindset of Jacob. I think this is one of the rare situations where he does have a little bit of leverage. Okay, what else is this team gonna do? If they don't sign me and they let me go or they rescind or whatever, based off of my film last year and based off of what I did last year, based off of my age, I'm probably the best running back on the market.
Oh yeah, of course. I think he actually was hoping they wouldn't franchise tag him and try to see what he had on the
contract.
Market. Right.
And
so I believe he does have. I agree with you. He has all the leverage in my opinion.
And I wouldn't be surprised, because we see what this running back market is man, some of these guys, especially if you got a handful of guys who are on playoff teams, you can pull Mixon, potential playoff teams, I should say. You can pull Mixon, you can pull Barkley, you can pull Jacobs, and there may be another one out there that I'm missing. But these guys hey, bro, look, they doing this kind of dirty right now. Running back market isn't what it is. Let's just hold out. Let's hold out. Like, let's let them know that, like, we're going to band together and we're going to make this very, very difficult for y'all.
The problem with
because
that,
if
though,
one gets a contract, that's a benchmark for the next one.
right. But
So-
the problem with that is that first guy is going to have to sacrifice themselves because there's a chance where
Why is the first guy got it? The first guy that signs is the one that, like, what if they agree to a certain...
If they all are like, we're going to hold out and just not play. We're not going to sign and we're just going to just chill until y'all respect us with an offer. They might be the sacrificial lamb where the teams are like, all right, fine, well, don't sign. We'll just promote Jahmyr White or something.
See, and if they do that, like, I know a lot of people talking about, like, that was like the hot name on Twitter. I just don't. I didn't think he was good last year.
I don't think he's good at all. That's why I feel like he has leverage. That's why I don't really see.
Yeah.
They haven't brought anybody in that's basically saying if we don't have Jacobs, we're going to roll with this guy. So that's why I think it's going to be resolved.
I agree.
I think they're going to probably give him the contract because he's still young. Dude's like 25.
But getting back to your point, like, Josh Jacobs second round, I can't do it. I can't do it.
What about third round?
Third round I would do.
Third round where?
I've done it in the third round.
301 or where in the third
I'll do
round?
it at 301.
Okay.
I'll do it at 301.
I agree with that.
I'll do it at 301.
I actually have no problem taking him back into the second.
Yeah. I don't mind that either because I think right now I probably would have him over those like high end wide receiver two. And when I say high end wide receiver two, I mean wide receiver twos on their own team.
Right.
The elite, number two options on their team. So like the Devontae Smiths and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And there could be arguments that could easily be made to like take him over, Olave Smith because we've seen
him do it.
Yeah, and I always use this like my benchmark for like the first two rounds are, I need you to give me 300 points. Mm-hmm. In a PPR, I need you to give me 300 points, and we've seen him do that. Mm-hmm. We've seen him do that.
Right. And it's not out of the question for him to actually do better, right? Because he had a crazy rushing line last year, but the passing work had a little bit more that was on meat on the bone type deal. If they actually introduce that, and Jimmy Garoppolo is now the quarterback there. Jimmy Garoppolo tends to feed his running backs. If they decide to, hey, Garoppolo, I can't get the ball downfield to Devontae, or Devontae's covered here, Jacobs, get the ball in your hand.
And Garoppolo had the foot injury. So,
Right, Garoppolo's not going to run, so it's not like he's going to,
and he had a foot injury, so, like, he does not want to scramble at all.
Right.
So he's going to be looking to that check there.
Yeah.
So, running back and tight end, like, I feel like that's going to be Garoppolo's best friend, and I'm going to be paying attention to that tight end.
We might be slightly undervaluing Jacobs, right? Because think about what we did with Jonathan Taylor last year.
He might be
Jonathan Taylor led the league in rushing in 2021. Yeah. The next year, we all
perennial number one. Yep.
Easily, right?
Who?
Yep.
No, not me.
Not you.
No,
but like not Abby, right?
That was
right.
you.
But the consensus, majority of the consensus was Taylor 101 or 102.
Yeah.
Right? Jacobs led the league in rushing last year. Maybe not the highest fantasy output as far as running back. What was he ranked after Eckler? Like 2 or 3? Couldn't have been that far after Eckler, right? And we still have this guy. Like we're talking about him right now in the third.
Three. So it was Eckler.
We're not even considering him in the first.
Right.
Yeah. We're like saying I might take him in the third.
But to be all honest, I'm not really considering Austin Eckler that much in the first either. So.
But he's still a first round pick.
He's a first round pick.
Like I haven't seen Eckler go in the back end of the first. I've seen him going the latest, like maybe 108.
Early on, before like he signed a contract, he was kind of slipping a little bit. I probably should have maybe just got a share then, but like he goes mid first pretty much.
Part of that is also because I think the fantasy community has kind of adopted more of this wide receiver heavy approach too.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's truly zero running back, but it's more value the wide receivers a lot higher than you do the running backs compared to years in the past.
I'm just not. I mean, honestly, to be quite honest, like. I don't think my thought process has changed as far as like an elite RB, like a true like just someone bell cow back being the best option. If I felt that there was one this year, I would be taking them like early in the first.
So what are you really saying then?
I don't feel like there's truly an elite bell cow RB.
Okay, that's a discussion itself.
So that has been my issue, and I've talked to y'all about the Eckler thing for me in the past. Is like. He caught so many passes last year, and my thought is like when your running back catches that many passes,
right? And he was very efficient.
That's not an efficient offense.
Scoring touchdowns too.
That's not an efficient offense.
So let me ask you
why
this.
they fired their head coach.
Let me ask you this: do you think this is just a year, an anomaly year where you just don't see a bell cow running back? So this is just not a year to take a running back.
Oh man!
Or are you basically saying we're now seeing the beginning of a trend
I thought this was a trend.
Going forward, we're never going to really see a true bell cow running back again.
I would
or
never
at least
say,
in the near future.
I would never say never. I think there's going to be like a few isolated situations, but this was a trend that we talked about last year. I think we kind of saw this last year, and I think we did plan appropriately. But
We
this
saw it
year's been more
last year,
pronounced.
but we were still taking JT, again, not Abby, right? But we were still taking JP, C-Mac, Cook.
C-Mac was a bell cow last year, right?
Okay.
He was a bell cow.
Right.
But
we were still taking Dalvin. We were
Dalvin
taking
Cook,
Mixon a little bit, Barkley. We were taking a lot of running backs that we were comfortable in the first round.
Well, the only ones that I took, the only ones that I was really aggressive about were C-Mac.
Okay.
He was a bell cow. JT at the end, you could argue his issues. Like he had a lot of injury issues, so he just actually no, it wasn't JT because JT was 1-on-1. That was the year before. So last year was actually C-Mac, Barkley, who we just kept smashing.
Wasn't Henry a first runner last year? Or maybe it was a
Henry.
back end? Okay.
Yeah, Henry. So Barkley, Henry. It was really those three, and then Austin
Cook.
Eckler. And Austin Eckler because we liked his
Cook
passing.
too, though. We
did like Cook.
We liked Cook.
I liked Cook a lot last year.
Yeah.
And Cook's issue, I feel like Cook had bell cow usage. He just didn't produce the way we wanted to.
So you don't think Jonathan Taylor is a bell cow right now?
No, I think he is a bell cow, and I may be sleeping on Jonathan Cook or Jonathan Taylor. I may be sleeping on him. I just, given where he's going right now, I don't see him moving up in drafts. So
You can let him fall to you?
I've just been like trying to get as many different combinations when I'm at that back end of, Diggs, Amon-Ra, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson.
What about Barkley?
A.J. Brown,
You see him
Devontae
as a bell
Adams.
cow?
He's a bell cow, but I feel like that offense is going to move a little bit away. So to me, like the Barkley discussion is that like last year to me was as good as it could get for Barkley as far as usage wise. And I had a lot of Barkley, and he produced, but it never felt just amazing. Like it didn't feel amazing.
I agree with that sentiment, actually.
So for me, again, he's a safe pick. He could end up on some winning teams, but I thought last year was as good as it can get. I felt like now you bring in other weapons that are an upgrade, and the offense is gonna, kind of progress a little bit further. I feel like there's gonna be more pass volume, more pass options. To me, it's tough. I mean, if the offense improves and maybe he gets more TD,
that's what I was gonna say. I see it
possible.
differently. I actually see it as last year the usage was great, but he didn't actually produce as well as he should have produced. And this year with a more improved offense, more familiarity with the system.
That's possible.
A hopeful, more improved Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
More weapons to kind of take away the threat of the defense, just kind of focusing on Barkley.
Yeah.
It'll allow him to actually maybe have a better season than he did last year. And I even think he had a little bit of injury concerns last year because I think we played Breida maybe a game or two last year. Or something where Breida was used. I remember him being a waiver wire pick at least for 1 week. So if that offense improves and if they continue to use him as a bell cat, they didn't bring anybody. Well, I guess they brought in the rookie Eric Gray from Oklahoma. Yeah. But
he'll be the bell cow, and
right.
The offensive line should improve. So I mean, you're right, and we should definitely see a regression in Daniel Jones, like rushing yards and TDs, because last year nobody it was stop Barkley and that's it. That's what defenses said. Stop Barkley.
They
that's
had
it.
no receivers.
They had no. Yeah. But defenses are going to continue to do that until the Giants show that, hey, we got other options and you got to respect them.
Right.
And that usually takes a few games. So you need the Giants to come out for the first 4 or 5 games and actually utilize those other options successfully before defenses finally switch up and say, let's not concentrate on Barkley.
If the defense is way too long, then Darren Waller's going to kill them.
And that I'm starting to come on Darren Waller. Yeah, I'm starting to come on Darren Waller a little bit. I'm liking that.
We're hearing the Paris Campbell buzz. Sterling Sharp is not dead, surprisingly.
Isaiah
He's like one of those memes where it's like
Shepard.
Or Shepard, yes. What did I say? Sterling Sharp? Yeah. Oh. I was a big Sterling Sharp fan back in the day, by the way. Just a quick disclaimer. I was a big, I thought he was better than Jerry
Isaiah
Jones.
Hodgins, 6'3".
You're a Hodgins lover.
Big red
Wandale Robinson, I know he's coming back from injury, but I still believe in him. Okay? Yeah. They got options to make defenses really have to be a little bit more cautious of how they defend that team. Yeah. And that could open up a lot of opportunities for Barkley.
But they got to be successful in that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. They got to be successful.
You would hope Deebo is just building on top of last year, right?
Oh yeah, that's what
It's
you would
not starting from
anticipate.
scratch. Like he kind of put the groundwork in last year. This year on the phase 2.
Hey man,
You know?
we on the Daniel Jones bandwagon,
I'm
so
not,
we
but-
are hoping. But you are changing my mind a little bit about
I'm
Barkley, so I may need to consider like grabbing him a little bit.
I guess what I'm really saying is these guys that you can talk yourself into still saying they're bell cows, but we're getting these bell cows that we used to have to get in the first. We're not able to get them in the second, even in the third, because Derrick Henry is like a 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
We may look back and be like, man, did we really take Jonathan Taylor and Barkley like after? Or we really take like guys like Amon-Ra or Garrett Wilson? Or we seeing Jalen Waddle? Did we really take those guys over a Saquon Barkley?
Right.
One guy, like, and I keep banging the drum, like, you know, when you ask me, like, who could be the number 1 overall RB1, like, Derrick Henry. I love getting Derrick Henry in the 3rd round.
Yeah, he's
I
a third
I
absolutely
haven't
love
seen
it.
him go in the 3rd round.
I got
He's
him in
been going
3rd
the
round
second.
today.
Wow, that's
You
crazy.
were drafting him today?
Slow draft.
Okay.
Chris talked me in a slow
Okay.
draft. I was like, okay.
Good.
When you do a slow draft, it allows you not to worry about trying to get in these drafts.
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
can literally like
You can,
like
it's
pace
a slow
it
burn.
out. Yeah,
just a little bit.
So when you look at it, you be like,
Scratch that in.
You're up at 18 picks. Like, damn, take your dude, man. Come on.
Guys, we may need to name this episode the running back issue because I want to stay on the running backs. Listen, I'm going to phrase this question this way. Assuming David Montgomery is the starting running back for the Detroit Lions, is he more likely to lose his job to Jahmyr Gibbs than Aaron Jones in Green Bay? To Dylan.
Yes.
Do you think he's more likely to lose his job?
I don't think he's going to have that job to start with.
Oh, so you think Jahmyr starts the season as the starter?
Think about how many running backs have been drafted in the top 12 that weren't the guy from the jump. And this team said they were considering drafting him at number 6.
Yeah.
Which was before Bijan was drafted. That's how high. And again, remember, keep in mind, it has none of this has anything to do with the way we feel about these players. It's all about the way the team views the players. And if they view this guy so highly, they were willing to take him at number 6.
Okay.
Think about what
the draft right
think
now.
about, think about how they envision use this guy. The coach was with the Saints.
Yeah.
Watching what they did with Kamara, and everybody keeps talking about how this guy, even when I was scouting him last year, before he even was drafted or was even the draft talk, people were saying this guy reminded them of Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
I think you have a young Alvin Kamara with high draft capital. The only threat is David Montgomery, which, you know, they gave him a pretty good contract. But, you know, David Montgomery could easily just be a depth piece.
Yeah.
You know? So,
Oh, man, that's...
I think out the gate, I mean, otherwise, why are you drafting a running back like that high?
Well, I feel like, I mean, number one, like, look at, like, who are their receiving options? I mean, we like Amon-Ra, but, like, who else do they have?
Jameson is going to be suspended.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Segue. Jameis Williams, I think, is a major
Possibly.
like value right now.
Yeah, possibly.
Because he's not hurt, right?
Yeah.
Right,
He's suspended. So
Yeah.
when he comes back, he's in the ground running.
Yeah.
But that's, that's a tangent. My bad.
I kind of like that. But, yeah, there are no other receiving options, so I think they're going to use them both.
Yeah.
That kind of goes back to our previous
Sorry, that's
discussion.
another thing.
Yeah.
If he's going to be in the receiving game as much as they're saying, we're talking about PPR leagues.
Basically, they want him.
But maybe he fits into that Jamal Williams category to where he poaches all of the
See,
touchdowns.
that's what I
from
think.
Jahmyr
That's what I think.
Gibbs.
That's what I think. That's exactly what I think is going to happen.
It's possible.
You know, they shipped off Swift. I think they want him to take, at the very least, his floor is a Swift role.
Yeah.
Right? Which is a pretty good role.
Right. But it's a healthy Swift.
It's a
Remember,
healthy
they kept
Swift.
having to take Swift out the game because it wasn't healthy.
Yeah.
And potentially a better Swift, because I think one of their
Yes.
issue with Swift was that like he just wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing, or maybe lacked the vision, or wasn't wasn't running the plays the way that they wanted the plays to be run. So I do I like Gibbs right now, right after like that quarterback run, as sort of kind of like that next guy. Because, like, I would rather have him over Najee. I've come to that conclusion. And I wasn't there before, but, like, after our previous episode, I'm now on that Gibbs train over him because of the potential upside that you just talked about.
And you don't have to really invest that much in him. He's going like back third, early fourth.
But I guarantee you this is what's going to happen. Almost, like, with a certainty, I guarantee it, that before draft season's over, he's going to end up in the second round. Like, I almost get, like he's one of those guys that you can see it.
Yeah.
And
that one highlight, whether it's preseason or training camp, because you know it's going to be probably him catching the ball and then just burning away from everybody.
God forbid Montgomery takes a veteran day off.
Right.
Or Montgomery gets hurt or something like
if
that.
he get hurt, like it's like wheels up. You're not worried about the size though?
In the past, I probably would, but we've now seen a lot of running backs with smaller sizes that are able to produce. Right?
I'm kind of worried about the size only because, when you take someone like a Tajay Spears or even Devin Achane, okay, like I saw them in college, even at their size, really just like grind games out. In it, like
he's bigger than Achane though.
Achane in an SEC.
He's bigger than Achane.
He's bigger than Achane, but I saw Achane do it.
Yeah.
I didn't really see Gibbs grind it out in college.
That's true.
Like I saw Devin Achane be the focal point of a defense in terms of we got to stop this player. And I saw him that's one reason why I love him. People think this guy's going to catch passes. He's in the Miami offense. No, go back and look at Devin Achane's tape. Like the size to me is almost like, man, like there's something about this dude where size, he may just be the outlier type player. So I saw him do it. That's the only thing that gives me a little bit of pause.
I guess
will they give him that? Like
my only rebuttal goes back to what I initially said. Look back at all the running backs that have been drafted like that high, and how a team used them out the gate.
Yeah.
There's not many times you're going to draft a running back, such a replaceable position. After you had signed David Montgomery to a nice deal too. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm on the Gibbs trade. Let me tell you why, because I sometimes it just take a while. Like he'll say something, and you just don't pay attention, and then a week later you okay, that makes sense. It'll just settle in. This didn't even take that long, but you had mentioned the the New Orleans comp to Kamara, and it's such an easy comp to make, but I don't think it's one that's really getting truly appreciated.
Right.
Like if he just comes out the gate and is Kamara.
And David Montgomery's Ingram.
And we literally just talked about they really have no receiving weapons. Man.
They want to use him the way.
Where are we drafting
the
Kamara in prime?
Kamara was. Yes.
Where are we drafting Kamara in his prime?
In the first.
Man. Oh, man. I've been doing this all
And that's what I'm saying.
I need to give me some Gibbs.
All the stars align for this guy. And you're being able to draft him in the late third, early fourth.
I got a couple of shares. I think I had a 4th round share. I was like, man, 4th round, I can't pass that up.
Yeah, just take him. Just take him. I mean,
okay, I got him above the quarterbacks right now.
Above the quarterbacks?
Above the quarterbacks.
All the quarterbacks?
All the quarterbacks. I'm gonna take him above. I'll take him above Higgins.
Well, if you're doing that, you're gonna have to take him in the early third.
I'm gonna take him above. I'll take him above Devontae Smith.
Ooh.
I'll take him above.
Okay. You get a little hot over there, bro.
Yeah.
I'll take him above. If you're talking about him the way that you're talking about him.
But I'm also talking about where I can take him, right?
Oh, no. What I'm saying is, okay, I should say I have him ranked.
Okay.
But honestly, if I have 0 shares of Devontae Smith. It's just hard for me to take him in the second round.
Because where you have to take him.
Yeah, where I have to take him. So if I'm in the 3rd round and I'm looking at those two, man, I'll probably just take Devontae because I need a share.
Right.
But if you ask, if I got one team, I'm taking Gibbs.
Yeah.
But you can't get them both. You're not gonna be able to get them both.
Right.
So it's got to be the one or the other.
Right.
Okay.
All right, guys. So let's talk about receivers. We got to move to some receivers because I know. Let's talk about the Patriots receivers for a second. You guys know that I hate.
Real quick. Speaking of receivers, do y'all think the trend of people going 0 running back is now starting to jump the shark a little bit, where almost everybody's now going 0 running back, where going now running back heavy might be a little bit more valuable or in vogue?
Yeah, my thing is
yeah, that's a good point.
If
and real quick, I'm sorry, I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm saying this because when 0 running back first started, the reason why it was such a viable option is because everybody was going running back. You able to get the star receivers, because everybody was passing them up to get these running back, these subpar running backs they were taking while these high end receivers are still on the board. Now everybody's taking the high end receivers. If you really want to go receiver, that third receiver is not going to be as high end as it was in the past, and then you're passing up all these running backs who are going to be useful, running backs that you can start week 1 and feel comfortable with. So I don't know. It's just an interesting dynamic that I'm seeing right now, and I don't really know the right answer. But
I think it's really important to define what you mean by 0 running back. Because I think I will commonly just say, I'm doing a lot of ZeroRB builds, and truly in essence, I'm really not doing a lot. I'm really not doing. I wouldn't even call it hero. I literally just it's tier base. And it's also understanding like what type of running backs I can get later on. Like if Chubb is at the end of the second round, I'm taking Chubb. Like I will take Chubb over all those elite wide receiver 2 options that go in the second round. I will take them over Waddle. I will take them over Devontae Smith.
Higgins.
Yeah, Higgins not even in the discussion. Like
You don't really like Higgins, do you?
I like Higgins in the third.
I mean, just in a vacuum, just him as a.
No, I do because I think this is the year Burrow. I think this is the year Cincinnati just put.
You know,
Burrow.
he changed his number to number 5, right?
Ooh.
You know what that means?
Stock up.
No, come on, man.
Stock up.
You know what that means?
Single
Add a
digits.
few more points.
Yes, sir.
No, I do like Higgins. I think this is the year Burrow just put Cincy on his back and they just go. The offense just goes.
It's
through
time.
Burrow,
It's
through
time,
Burrow.
right? Yeah. It's because they're quiet too. Like they're not even talking like Super Bowl or bust.
Yeah.
They're just putting their head down and just working over there.
So to me, it's not really about. To me, basically, my approach is get elite wide receivers. If I can get 2 elite wide receivers in the first 2 rounds, like. That's why sometimes that middle position is nice because I can get a cup and then people aren't into Devontae Smith or Devontae Adams right now. If I can get like a cup Devontae Adams.
Devontae has been
that.
falling.
Yeah,
I'm like, what's going on, everybody? Y'all tripping.
Yeah, only because I know like the comp to Chubb, like it's going to be hard for me to find a Devontae Adams later on in draft.
You just said 2 elite receivers, right?
Yeah.
Who was the last receiver in that elite tier? The last one.
The last one? I have my rankings differently from you guys.
I know. I don't know the
I would
rankings.
say
Who would you say is the
currently Garrett Wilson, and it's a shaky Garrett
last? Is the
Wilson.
last one?
Yeah.
How you gonna get 2 then?
What do you
Because
mean?
Garrett Wilson is going like late first, early second.
So Garrett Wilson, we got to pull up the ADP. At least when I was drafting, and while I've been drafting, he's usually now we're seeing Devontae Adams go after him, but before Garrett Wilson was the last one. So it was like Garrett Wilson and Amon-Ra kind of close.
But still, they were early second, like
Early second, yeah.
204.
But sometimes
latest.
one of those will pass, and so if one of those does not pass, then I'm going.
So if you have a pick, if you have a slot between 1 and 7, because what I'm basically saying is you're not going to get Garrett Wilson in the second round if you're in one of those, unless
correct.
he just happens to just randomly
Correct.
follow a
Correct.
weird draft. Are you now saying that you're taking a running back in the second round?
So
Essentially,
Barkley, JT, those guys also don't fall that far. So I'm either looking
Chubb.
at Chubb, Tony
Pollard, Andrews.
No, I really haven't been taking Andrews.
Okay.
Or Derrick Henry.
Okay.
And
So
it's
you're
pretty
taking
much it.
all those guys before the
Yeah.
receiver.
And then if those guys are gone, then that's when I start looking at the Jalen Waddles, the Chris Olaves of the world.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, so I'm really not just doing ZeroRB just to do like I won't just take like random wide receivers. Like it's got to be like there's certain like wide receivers that I like have a lot of confidence in if they stay healthy that they're gonna like produce. I will go for those guys, but the other questionable guys, I'm not just trying to load up on those guys.
Gotcha.
And especially like right now, like when I'm seeing Aaron Jones and J.K. Dobbins and Joe Mixons of the world, I'm not just like passing up those guys just to get wide receivers.
Gotcha.
I think that's where like.
And that kind of the
where it
question I was
doesn't
just
work out.
asking about
Yeah.
with the zero wide
Yeah.
receiver. Because I think a lot of people are basically saying, I see Joe Mixon, and I'm still going to focus on this wide receiver heavy approach.
Yeah.
Let me take another receiver. Not paying attention to the fact that Joe Mixon is a sweet spot this year.
Yeah.
And he could really like explode.
Oh yeah. There's no Samaje Perine.
Right. So, I don't know.
And he caught a lot of passes last year.
It's just interesting watching these. It's just interesting seeing so much yellow in the top. And I had this theory. And look, people, I'm crazy. Just don't mind me. Sometimes I just be talking, right?
Solo came.
But
yeah.
But I think FFPC, if y'all are listening, I think y'all should really consider making the green on the draft boards a little bit lighter.
Why?
I think it's psychological. I think people like seeing the yellow more than the greens right now. If they just see a lighter, like a more neonish green instead of that dark green, I think you might have people draft running backs a little bit more often. I have no stats to back that up.
How do you come up with that?
You know, I got a psychology degree, right? I just think, again, I'm just seeing so much yellow on these boards and then the green. Because, like, I see green on these boards, like, man, ew.
Yeah.
Like, running back,
You would
ew.
have a psychology degree.
Right.
So put a lighter green color for the running backs, and you might flip the boards a little bit.
All right. So let's go back to the question that I originally wanted to ask, which was about the Patriots receiving core. Listen, you guys know that I hate Mac Jones. So
You hate the Patriots.
no,
Because you hate Brady? Do you hate Brady, yes or no?
No, I don't hate Brady.
You just dislike him strongly.
I dislike him strongly.
Okay.
But
How you feel about Bill Belichick?
I actually like Bill. Like I ride for Bill.
Okay.
No.
What do you think about Massachusetts?
My brother lives there now, so like, hey,
Okay.
that's all good.
He just named the whole state. Not
He lives
Boston,
in
not
Boston.
Foxborough.
He lives in
I was
Boston.
just saying,
He lives in Boston.
he has some pride.
Listen,
That's all
shout
I'm
out to
saying.
Boston. Shout out to Boston. But no, let's talk about this receiving core because I kind of see this as somewhat of a narrow target tree as well. Listen, we know that Devontae Parker just got the
Just got
extension.
paid, get money.
It just got paid.
So odd.
They got extremely odd. Tyquan Thornton is there. Kendrick Bourne, but your man's last
guy
year
Bourne.
is still there. But
You forgot to mention their biggest.
Gesicki.
No, their biggest acquisition, the highest paid receiver,
Juju.
Juju.
Oh, Juju. Man, listen, if
He
y'all
has the highest contract on the
if
team
y'all
right
are
now.
still believing in Juju, man.
Yeah,
level
but
of disrespect.
Juju had a 60 million guarantee,
All right, I
3-year
got you.
contract. They just gave Parker 14 million guarantee, 3-year contract.
Man.
Yeah,
Money
but-
talks.
How do they sign DeAndre Hopkins?
So I put a tweet out today that said, Hopkins is not going to the Patriots. Congratulations
it
to
just
the
said
Titans.
no.
Yeah, but my
said,
boy,
nah.
my boy who's a Titans fan actually DM'd me and said, for somehow, and I can't back this up whatsoever, but he said somehow that contract they gave Parker freed up money.
I've been seeing that going around Twitter.
So if it freed up money, it actually gives him a better opportunity to sign
Okay.
D-Hop, if you will.
I didn't know what his contract was before.
I don't know how that exactly works, but
Man,
that's what he said.
I don't want to talk about the Patriots.
You have a capologist like on the.
You got a
on the
capologist?
dial? Yeah.
No, that's my boy just randomly. He went to school with me. Shout out to Ken.
All right.
So-
Big Ken.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about narrow target tree. I don't see it narrow at all. I just not at all.
I don't need either.
I see.
Really?
I see.
You didn't even mention Hunter Henry.
In no specific order. Hunter Henry,
Yeah, but I think
Mike
Gesicki
Gesicki
is going to take that job.
Juju, Kendrick Bourne, Devontae Parker now, Tyquan Thornton, Ramondre Stevenson, Pierre Strong. Who's the other guy?
Ty Montgomery.
Ty Montgomery. And then whoever they decide to randomly, they're
The
gonna bring
guy
in
that
a
they
vet.
drafted
They're gonna
last
bring
year
in a
before
vet too.
Pierre Strong, Kevin Smith or Kevin something.
I
name
feel
is
like they're
Kevin.
still gonna sign a running back. Like I feel like
And I
they're
feel
gonna
like
bring
they have a
running.
receiver on the team too that we're not. Oh, don't forget Keyshawn Boutte. Even though he might not make the team, but he's there. And they have another rookie receiver that I think they like starts with a D. I
Oh
believe.
yeah. I heard he was
heard he
shining.
been
He
doing
was
a little bit,
outshining
So
Booty and
the only thing I can put in their favor is the fact that Bill O'Brien is being their OC. We've seen how his offense runs. He doesn't use a lot of options. He has
he was a lot of tight ends.
Yeah, tight ends. Yeah, did he?
Yeah,
With the
Yeah.
Texans?
Yeah, multiple tight
we
ends.
did. We did. But the receivers, it was always at the time D-Hop, Fuller, or Steels. That was the offense.
Yeah.
And it was just those three receivers. So if he does the same type of offense with the Patriots, it might be narrow.
Yeah.
Then it depends on who wins those jobs.
Yeah, I think we'll see because I feel like Bill O'Brien, this is not to get into this argument, but I don't necessarily know that his approach was to have Watson go out there and just really have the offense go through the passing game. I felt like he did that
think
out
he
of
wanted to
necessity.
run?
Yeah, I really do because I remember a lot of times we would start off very, very slow trying to run the ball, then we would get down, and then Watson would just do
Try to
be like a magician.
I got you.
And
come
then
back.
so
that was Carlos Hyde's only 1,000 yard rushing season too with the Texans.
yeah. So you could. I don't know if he's bringing over Alabama. Who knows? It should be an upgrade from last year, but I just don't necessarily
Last
know.
year they had defensive coordinators as the OCs.
Yeah, I don't want any of these receivers. None.
No,
of them.
I don't want them. And I was the one that said we need to discuss it because I feel like Patriots offense is a blind spot for fantasy, right?
It is.
Somebody's going to be able to take one of those guys. They're going to score points. Again, I always say teams are not going to line up on Sunday and just kneel the ball down for 3 downs and then punt.
Right.
They're going to try to score points. Somebody's going to accumulate fantasy points, and it's going to be enough to where you can use them, and it's going to be a cheap option because nobody's drafting them.
Yeah.
They're probably on your waiver wire type deal, So the question is, who is it?
Yeah. You remember the first tweet I sent out for the season, when I started drafting in April, was if you're doing best ball with your last pick, make sure you draft Devontae Parker or who was the other guy?
Tyquan?
DJ Chark.
Chark?
So it's DJ Chark or Devontae Parker. That was the first tweet I sent out in the group text. And even looking back on it now, I'm like, man, why did you even send that out? That was trash.
Nobody paid attention. Nobody paid
But hey, he
attention.
signed. Wouldn't that be something? But I couldn't know on that one. That would be that's still an L.
Right. All right, guys. Like, it looks like we're approaching an hour. I think that's all we got for this week. I know it seems pretty quick, but we're already at an hour. So
Yeah.
That was quick.
I don't even have any Dynasty people for guys to look at.
You mentioned that. You mentioned the San Francisco running back.
Yeah, but
You got him. You got him.
yeah, right. Right. They're fed. They're fed. All right, guys.
real quick.
Yeah.
Should I even plug this? Because I don't know.
Go ahead.
I watched this
Shameless
video.
plug.
I put it in the group chat. Go check that video out, Underdog.
Oh,
Actually
yeah,
pretty good
yeah,
information.
yeah.
Watch
Yeah.
it. If y'all haven't seen it, go watch it. It was basically, I don't want to say if it's an age apex, but they talked about how certain ages or certain years in the league, when players are expected to break out, and the likelihood as far as their future potential of breaking out if they haven't reached it to a certain point. And it was just a good study. It's good. I don't want to just, take all the thunder for it, but it really allows you to kind of look at, it allows you to kind of forecast, right? Because we're looking at these young players. We don't know who the next superstars are. We're hoping they're going to be stars. We do know who the current stars are now, but you have to keep in mind, Father Time's undefeated. These superstars now, by this time next year, they're going to probably be not even viable options. So, it's really good to try to get ahead of the curve on those type of things.
All right. We're plugging other networks. All right, guys. Please like, rate, subscribe. We're out.
We can take this ride wherever it goes. As long as you're with me, I feel at home. Can you tell me why? 'Cause I wanna know. As long as you're with me, I feel at home. Yeah. I wave goodbye to my old life. Been reaching for some new